What's up, Steelers Nation? The Pittsburgh Steelers are working tirelessly to build a stronger, more competitive team for the 2025 season. And you already know, when the black and gold make moves, we're here to break it all down for you. But before we get into today's story, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you the best Steelers content all year long. Now let's get into it. Could Sam Darnold be a sleeper option for the Steelers at quarterback? That's the big question floating around right now, and it comes from none other than ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. While the buzz has been all about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, Fowler thinks Pittsburgh might still have their eyes on another name in free agency, Darnold. Now, he's not exactly the mobile quarterback that Mike Tomlin typically prefers, but his performance in 2024 turned a few heads, minus the last couple of games. So, should we take this rumor seriously? Let's break it down. Right now, all signs point to either Fields or Wilson leading the Steelers in 2025. Adam Schefter even went as far as to guarantee that one of them will be the starter. But things can change fast in the NFL, especially when free agency kicks into high gear. With several teams interested in both Fields and Wilson, Pittsburgh might have to consider backup plans. Darnold, who spent 2024 with the Minnesota Vikings, could be one of those options. He's a former first-round pick with starting experience, and while he's had his ups and downs in the league, he's shown flashes of being a solid quarterback. The Giants, Raiders, and Titans are all reportedly in the mix for his services, but Fowler isn't ruling out the Steelers just yet. So is he a real option, or is this just a long shot? For one, he's likely to come at a much lower price than either Fields or Wilson. If the Steelers decide they don't want to invest heavily in a quarterback and instead build up the roster elsewhere, Darnold could make sense as a cost-effective bridge QB. He's got experience, he's still only 27 years old, and he wouldn't necessarily require a long-term commitment. That said, there are some clear drawbacks. Darnold doesn't bring the same level of mobility or playmaking ability that Fields does, and he doesn't have the veteran leadership or championship pedigree that Wilson brings. So, would he really be an upgrade over what Pittsburgh already has? General Manager Omar Khan has made it clear that solidifying the quarterback position is the Steelers' top priority this offseason. That means every possible option is being explored, even if it's not the most obvious choice. The front office is still in discussions with Wilson's camp, and Fields remains a strong possibility if the Bears decide to move on from him. But if those deals fall through, someone like Darnold could at least be on Pittsburgh's radar. Meanwhile, the Steelers are also focused on strengthening their offensive line, which has been a point of contention in recent years. That brings us to another hot topic: Dan Moore Jr. Now, let's talk about a player who's been heavily criticized but recently got some unexpected support: Dan Moore Jr. If you've been following the Steelers' offensive line struggles, you know that Moore has been under fire for his inconsistent play. But former Steelers linebacker Arthur Moats recently defended Moore on his podcast, The Arthur Moats Experience. He argued that while Moore hasn't been great, he's been reliable, something that shouldn't be overlooked. Moats pointed out that Moore was a fourth-round pick who has started 66 games in the NFL. That kind of longevity from a Day 3 draft pick is rare, and in most cases would be seen as a success. But the problem is, Moore's actual performance hasn't been up to par. In 2024, he led the league in sacks allowed, a stat no offensive lineman wants next to their name. And with the Steelers investing heavily in their offensive line in recent drafts, it seems inevitable that Moore will be replaced sooner rather than later. The Steelers have drafted first-round tackles in back-to-back years: Broderick Jones in 2023 and Troy Fautanu in 2024. The expectation was that one of them would eventually take over for Moore, but due to injuries and some unexpected lineup changes, Moore kept his starting job throughout 2024. That's likely to change in 2025, with Fautanu healthy and Jones expected to move back to his natural left tackle spot. Moore is projected to hit free agency. Most of Steeler Nation seems ready to move on, but Moats' comments bring up an interesting debate. Should Moore be judged more on his draft status and durability or on his actual performance? Let us know what you think in the comments. We know the Steelers are almost certainly bringing back either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields to be the starting quarterback in 2025, but all signs are pointing to Fields being the favorite. Why? Well, for one, he comes at a lower price tag than Wilson. Second, his athleticism gives the offense an extra dimension that head coach Mike Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith might be interested in building around. Fields' ability to extend plays and keep defenses guessing is something Wilson simply doesn't bring at this stage of his career. But here's where it gets interesting. Does Fields even want to stay in Pittsburgh? The Steelers have been exploring other options, and one name they reportedly had mild interest in was Matthew Stafford. That interest didn't go anywhere, though, because Stafford made it crystal clear he had zero interest in coming to Pittsburgh. Zero! That alone should make us pause and ask a tough question. Is Pittsburgh really an attractive destination for quarterbacks right now? Controversial Pittsburgh sports pundit Mark Madden sure doesn't think so. In a recent piece for Tribune Review Sports, he made his stance clear. Fields should leave. Here's what Madden had to say. Fields would be crazy to stay. Fields should go someplace that loads him up with run-pass options, lets him carry the ball, lets him be daring, lets him be Lamar Jackson light, not a no-risk robot. Fields must make plays, not just avoid turnovers. Fields is 25. He needs an opportunity, not merely a job. It's time for his career to accelerate or die. It would die in Pittsburgh. That's a pretty strong take. And to be fair, Fields is at a career crossroads. He has all the tools to be an electric playmaker, but does Pittsburgh offer the best opportunity for him to shine? Or would he be better off somewhere like the New York Jets, who are rumored to have strong interest in him? Think about it. Fields would be stepping into a situation with better weapons, a fresh coaching staff, and a system that might actually tailor to his strengths. Then there's the Las Vegas Raiders. They're another team that could swoop in if the Steelers don't lock Fields down before free agency. They need a quarterback, and they could offer Fields a chance to be the centerpiece of their rebuild. So what's the move here? Should the Steelers break the bank to keep Fields? Right now, his market value is estimated at $6.4 million. That's not an outrageous number, and honestly, Pittsburgh could probably secure him just by offering a little above that. Remember, they paid Mitch Trubisky more than that back in 2022. And we all know how that worked out. One thing is for sure, Pittsburgh cannot afford to let Fields test free agency. Once he hits the open market, there's a real chance he's gone. And if that happens, Steelers fans, get ready for a revenge game in 2025. Yep, because guess what? The Steelers are set to face the New York Jets in New York this season. Imagine that, Fields running all over the Steelers' defense in a different uniform. That's a nightmare scenario Pittsburgh needs to avoid. So, Steelers Nation, there's a lot to unpack here. Could Sam Darnold be a legitimate option at quarterback? Will Pittsburgh finally move on from Dan Moore Jr.? And what do you think of Arthur Moats defending Moore's tenure with the team? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got tons of Steelers content coming your way as we head into a crucial offseason for the black and gold. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.